Good morning. I want to talk about playing on 2 strings at one time and 3 bow exercises that I have to kind of get some more comfort with that. The first trick involves not actually playing on 2 strings at one time. It's really mapping out how wide is each string. When we first start playing, many of us struggle to play on just 1 string at a time, and then we really focus on that, and it becomes this sort of sensation of the string being a tightrope, and oh no, I don't want to fall off of it. And so this exercise is really focused at breaking that mental pattern, and instead thinking of how wide the string can be and how many different places your bow can be while still just being engaged with 1 string. So for our purposes here, we're going to start just on the G string, and we're going to find that edge where the G is almost on the D string, but not touching it. So really as close as you can. And just stay there. Long, slow, smooth bows. Do a whole bunch of them. If you touch that D string, just try to gently lift your pinky 1 millimeter in the air to kind of pull out of it. Don't rush away. Instead, just lift a little bit so you're just on the G again. And just really spend a lot of time gaining comfort with where is that spot. How close can you be? You can look with your eyes. Then I want you to we don't tend to bow that way when we're playing, so moving into how you would be bowing while you're playing. Faster, kind of bouncing around. It's a good idea to do some short bows, like little shuffles here at the frog. Staying really close in the middle of the bow. Move up towards that tip. And just getting familiar with how close we can be to the D and what that feels like on your G string. I want you to then spend time doing that on the D, as close to the G as you can. That same process of long, slow bows. And then getting them faster, more fluid, some shuffles all over the bow. Same thing, D as close to the A as you can. A as close to the D as you can. And then the other side as close to the E. And finally the E as close to the A string as you can. Move around in there, spend a good long time with each string. This can be a process over several days, weeks. It's not a one-time thing. And it is a good idea every time you pick up your fiddle while you're working on this, is to just do a quick couple of minutes, maybe less, of just being super close to those adjacent strings and gaining comfort. You're mapping out for yourself what are the boundaries of each string and teaching your bow to feel really comfortable in those edges, really where you're close to your adjacent strings. The next kind of subset here is moving back and forth within those margins. So starting on the D string, the bow movement I'm going to do is a lot like I'm slurring string crossing, like this. But I'm just going to do it on the D, where instead of changing strings, I'm changing the edge that I'm on. So I'm on the D as close to the A, and then as close to the D and back. And that's, I don't tend to use that in playing all that much, but it's kind of a neat way for your arm to feel fluid in using that whole range of motion that we have while still just getting 1 string resonating. So do that on the G, getting close and far from the D string. On the D, on the A, as close as you can and moving away from the other strings, and on the E string as well. Spending some time just getting that to feel comfortable where you feel that you're able to get really close to the other string but aren't at risk of touching it, and so your brain has a bigger mental mapping of that area. The next big tip is working on double stops. So that's putting your bow, I like to imagine an invisible string between the 2 strings. So if we're looking at our D and A, I imagine I'm putting my bow down between them, and then a lot of people feel like we have to push harder in order to get double stops. That's going to lock up your arm, it's going to change the tone of your instrument, and you're going to be using your bow in a much stiffer way. Don't do that. We don't need to push any harder. It's just really gentle resting on both strings. And in some ways, it's almost a more stable place. See if you can kind of get tactile response from the bow. Can you feel what it feels like when the bow is not balanced on one string, but instead is resting on two strings synonymously? Spending a lot of time on those same long, slow bows, then moving into more back and forth speedy bows the way we might be playing on a tune, doing some shuffly things down by the frog, up in the middle, up at the top, getting the full range of bow motion, feeling comfortable with those double stops. I want you to spend time on the G and D together like that. The D and A, the A and E, just really finding the place that the bow feels comfortable on two strings. And now the third place that I want you to spend some time to develop comfort with double stopping, because we don't always want two strings where we're hearing 50% of the volume. We want it to be a little bit more fluid than that. So I refer to these kind of as pulse drones. We're gonna just for now start on the D string, and we're gonna roll to touch the A, not letting go of the D. And then back. So you're moving in and out of that double stop as fluidly as you can. Doing it slowly, adding some speed. You can put, one pulse per bow, and that is a fun, very dancey feeling that I incorporate in a lot of backup. Or two bows and two pulses. It's a pretty small movement. I'm only going as far as I need to the A, and then when I'm releasing from the A string, I'm only lifting up just as much as I need to so that it doesn't ring anymore before coming back. I'm aiming for as efficient as I can, and it's a very light feeling. There we were holding the lower string and accenting on the higher. Also spend time holding the higher string, accenting the lower. It feels a little different. Doing all this with the G and the D. And the same, holding the D and accent the G. A and D string, A and E string, accenting either direction, higher or lower. And just gaining a sense of being really in control of I'm on one string, I'm on two strings, I'm on one string, I'm on two strings, and developing that sense of control. Ultimately, we want to be doing this with our left hand, with melodies, with chords, but finding the space in our bow so that it feels comfortable without anything else to think about is really important so that we are able to maintain that light, casual feeling that we want to have in our bowing. So again, just to summarize, my three big things that I'd have you focus on: playing on just one string, but finding those margins, getting comfortable being really close to the adjacent string and widening your mental perception of how wide is that string? Where does your bow need to be in order to resonate that string? The second piece of getting really comfortable just sitting on both strings at the same time, making equal sound, but not pushing on that bow, maintaining total lightness and feeling that sense of what it is like to be balanced on the two strings. And then that third of pulsing in and out of those two bows, of those two strings, and being able to maintain sound with one and accent with the other. I hope you spend a lot of time with these on the open strings, and then I look forward to having you integrate those into your playing.